The sun beat down on the parched land, baking it to a crisp. The once mighty Euphrates River has dried up, leaving nothing but a desolate wasteland in its wake. But something mysterious had appeared in the riverbed, something that sent a chill down the spine of anyone who laid eyes on it. What could it be? Was it a sign of something sinister lurking beneath the surface? Let's revel the secret with the unknown facts. Chapter: Euphrates River History. Around the 4th millennium before the Common Era, BCE, Sumer experienced its first flush of cultural development, which can be traced back to the availability of water provided by the Euphrates River. Meri, Sippar, Nippur, Shuruppak, Uruk, and Eridu are just some of the ancient cities that were situated on or near the banks of rivers. Other important ancient cities include Uruk and Eridu. The river valley was the centerpiece of the later empires of Babylonia and Assyria, which both emerged from this region. For a number of centuries, the river served as the boundary between the effective control of the Roman and Egyptian empires to the west and the western regions of the Persian Empire to the east. In addition, the Battle of Karbala, which was an important turning point in Islamic history and took place on the banks of the Euphrates River, resulted in the deaths of Imam Hussein and members of his family and close circle of friends. Reason: the Euphrates River is one of the most important rivers in the world because it is the longest river in Western Asia and a major source of water for many countries in the Middle East. As a result, the Euphrates is considered to be one of the most important rivers in the world. Unfortunately, the river is losing its flow due to a confluence of issues, including climate change, excessive water use, and inefficient water management, which are all contributing factors. The Euphrates River has significantly shrunk in size as a direct result of the effects of climate change. Over the course of the last few decades, the region has seen an increase in temperature, which has led to a reduction in the amount of precipitation and the rate at which snow melts. Because of this, the river has become shallower, making it more likely to run dry during times of drought. In addition, higher temperatures have led to an increase in the amount of water that is lost to evaporation, which has further decreased the amount of water that is available in the river. The Euphrates River has also been contributing to its own drying up as a result of excessive water withdrawals. Several nations in the region get the majority of their water from the river, despite the fact that they rely on it for their water supply and have been taking more than their share. Because of this, the river's water supply has been depleted, which has resulted in a rise in the river's salinity and a decrease in its flow. Inadequate water management is the last factor that has contributed to the depletion of the Euphrates River's water supply. In a number of countries, ineffective water management policies have been implemented, which has led to overexploitation of water resources and poor management of those resources. This has led to a reduction in the amount of water that is available, as well as an increase in the amount of pollution. Because it is such an important source of water for agriculture and industry, the drying up of the Euphrates River is a major cause for concern for many of the countries that are located in the region. It is essential that countries work together to implement effective water management policies and reduce their reliance on the river for their water supply in order to stop the river from drying up further. This can only be accomplished through cooperative efforts between nations. Temperatures in the region will be lowered and there will be an increase in the amount of precipitation if countries take steps to reduce their emissions and combat climate change. For this reason, it is essential that countries take these steps. Chapter: Concerns. When the river was younger, it formed many different channels at Basra, which resulted in the formation of a large marshland. In the basin of the river Tigris and Euphrates, these natural wetland ecosystems have been developing for thousands of years and once covered an area of 15 to 20,000 square kilometers. They are beautiful and extensive. Since the 1970s, between 84 and 90% of the world's marshes have been eradicated, as stated by both the United Nations Environment Program and the Amar Charitable Foundation. The regime of Saddam Hussein was responsible for the destruction of 60% of the wetland areas in 1994. They were drained so that the native marsh Arabs could have better military access and greater political control over their territory. Instead of letting water move slowly through the marshland, canals, dikes, and dams were built to route the water of the Tigris and Euphrates rivers around the marshes. This prevented the water from becoming stagnant. After a portion of the Euphrates was drained because its water was redirected to the sea, a dam was constructed so that water could not back up from the Tigris and continue to support the wetlands that had previously been there. Some of the marshlands were set on fire, and the installation of underground pipes assisted in the removal of excess water, which facilitated a more rapid drying process. The drying up of the marshes led to the extinction of salt-tolerant plant life, waters rich in plankton that fertilized the soil in the surrounding areas, 52 native fish species, and the wild boar, red fox, buffalo, and water birds that called the marsh habitat home. Although the drainage policy has been reversed ever since the invasion of Iraq by the United States in 2003, it is still unknown whether or not the marshes will be able to recover. There is a great deal of debate regarding who has the right to use the river and for what purposes. The Southeastern Anatolia project in Turkey will involve the construction of 22 dams and 19 power plants. This will be the most extensive infrastructure development project that Turkey has ever attempted. The Turkish authorities have high hopes that the project will provide a boost to the economy of the surrounding region. However, critics both inside and outside of Turkey have cast doubt on its potential benefits and have attacked the scheme's potential social and environmental costs. The Tabaka Dam in Syria, which was finished in 1973 and is also sometimes referred to as simply the Euphrates Dam, creates a reservoir called Lake Assad, which is used for irrigation of cotton crops. Syria has already dammed its two major tributaries and is currently working on another dam construction project. The Iraqi government maintains 7 operational dams, but water management was not a priority under Saddam Hussein's rule. Since the fall of the Ba'ath regime in Iraq in 2003, water consumption has once again become a primary concern. Because there is so little water available in the Middle East, Iraq lives in constant fear that its neighbors Syria and Turkey will consume the vast majority of the available water before it reaches Iraq. In its current form, irrigation in southern Iraq contributes very little water to the Shatt al-Arab, which is a tributary of the Tigris. Chapter: Connection to Bible. According to Genesis 2:14, one of the 4 rivers that flow out of the Garden of Eden is a river called Pereth, which is the Hebrew word for the Euphrates. The name Euphrates comes from a Hebrew word that could have originated from the word stream or to break forth. This word has been translated into English as the Euphrates. The Hebrew name for this river is Hiddekel. It is the 4th river after the Pishon, the Gihon, and the Tigris to form from the river that flows out of the garden. The other 3 rivers are the Pishon, the Gihon, and the Tigris. The river with the same name served as one of the demarcation lines for the land that God had promised to Abraham and the descendants of Abraham who descended from him through Isaac and Jacob. In the Hebrew Bible, it is frequently referred to as simply the river. For example, on that day the Lord made a covenant with Abram and said, "To your descendants I give you this land, from the river of Egypt to the great river, the Euphrates." After creating the Tigris and Euphrates, God says, "The name of the 3rd river is Tigris. It is the river that flows east of Ashur." The Euphrates, for its part, is the 4th river. The Euphrates forms the land's northern and eastern boundary, and God makes the following promise to Abram: "From the Wadi of Egypt to the great river, the river Euphrates, I give this land to your descendants." God instructs the Israelites to travel to the Promised Land as follows. Genesis 15:18 in the Jerusalem Bible: "Begin your journey and make your way to the hill country of the Amorites, and to all of their neighbors in the Arabah, the hill country, the Shephelah, the Negeb, the seacoast, the land of the Canaanites, and the Lebanon, as far as the great river, the river Euphrates." The Israelites are given this promise regarding the promised land by God, who communicates it to Moses. "Every place where you set the soles of your feet shall be yours. Your territory's borders are going to extend all the way from the desert to Lebanon, and from the Euphrates River all the way out to the western sea." And the 6th angel poured out his vial upon the great river Euphrates, and the water thereof was dried up, that the way of the kings of the east might be prepared. And the 6th angel poured out his vial upon the great river Euphrates, and the water thereof was dried up, that the way of the battle of Armageddon might be prepared. Chapter: The Hidden Mystery in Euphrates. Recent drops in water levels at the lake created by the Euphrates Dam in eastern Syria have made it possible to examine a sizable archaeological burial site from the Wadi Sal al-Kasab and Shams al-Din region in the northwestern countryside of Raqqa all the way to the administrative border between Raqqa and Aleppo. The site, which dates back to the Byzantine civilization in the Raqqa province, sprawls over large areas on the eastern bank of the Euphrates Dam, also known as Tapka Dam Lake. It was established in the Raqqa province during the time of the Byzantine civilization. The decline in water levels of the Euphrates and Tigris that has occurred over the course of the last 3 years has allowed for the exposure of a great number of archaeological sites that were previously covered by the waters of these two rivers, which flow through Syria, Iraq, and Turkey. Over the course of the last few years, the water level in the Euphrates River has dropped to perilously low levels. The flow of water from Turkey into Syrian territory is less than 200 cubic meters per second, which is less than half of the quantity that Turkey and Syria agreed upon in 1987. The Euphrates riverbed witnessed 6 historical eras, including the Sumerian, Akkadian, Assyrian, Greek, and Byzantine eras, in addition to the Islamic era. Abdul Razak al-Aliawi, an engineer and former director of Syria's maintenance department for the Euphrates River, told Al-Monitor. Al-Aliawi was the former director of Syria's maintenance department for the Euphrates River. He believed that the construction of dams in the first place was an unjust decision. In 1968, under the leadership of Youssef Zain, the Syrian government constructed the Euphrates Dam without first rerouting the Euphrates River away from the desert and creating lakes there. Instead, Aliawi stated that the lake that was formed as a result of the dam had a length of 100 kilometers and a width of 8 kilometers, and it submerged the most notable ancient sites that were located along the river. Only a select few artifacts and monuments were spared during the destruction. As the water level continues to fall, he stated that many cemeteries are located in this area, which is also believed to include hundreds of Syriac Christian monasteries. When the sun is shining and the water in the lake is clear, it is possible to make out the gravestones of the cemeteries that are still underwater. In the western part of Raqqa, a few cemeteries have been discovered on the right bank of the lake, but he said that the left bank is more rocky, making it difficult to carry out digging works. In July, as the waters of the Euphrates River began to recede in the city of Anna in Iraq, the ruins of the ancient city of Talbs were made visible. Following the lowering of the water level in the Haditha Dam, an Iraqi archaeologist by the name of Mohammad Jassim reported the discovery of at least 80 previously submerged historical sites. The Department of Antiquities in Dohuk, which is located in the Kurdistan region of Iraq, made the announcement on June 6 that they had found a city that belonged to the Mitanni Empire and had been submerged for 3,400 years. The city was exposed when the waters of the Tigris River basin receded. Bex Privkani, the director of the Dohuk Department of Antiquities, stated on June 6 to reporters that the city, which was historically referred to as Zakiko, was mentioned in Babylonian texts. According to him, it consists of a palace in addition to a number of other buildings, as well as a large fence. Cuneiform texts were also discovered at the site. The historical Hastek Castle, which can only be reached by boat, was exposed to the surface of the Keben Dam Lake on the Euphrates River in a region of eastern Turkey last year as a result of the water level dropping in the lake caused by the Keben Dam. According to Korkmaz San, who serves as the head of the history department at the Firat Euphrates University in Turkey, it is believed that the castle was originally a temple that dates back to the time before the Christian era. During that time, he issued a statement to the press in which he explained that the castle is carved into the rocks on 3 different levels and has Greek inscriptions on the walls of its interior. So, we have come to an end of today's video. If you like this video, then please leave a like, and if you want to watch more amazing content, then subscribe to our channel. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.